Happy Aloha Friday, everyone. Very stoked to be doing this practice with you today. And it's all about giving yourself the hands-on adjustments that you might miss from going to a physical practice. So if you haven't been to an in-studio class, or maybe it's been a while, the idea about hands-on adjustments is really, it's my opportunity to help the yogi find more depth in a pose, more stability and more strength, more length, more stretch, just like more of what you can already find. And the goal is that the moment I walk away from the yogi, that you can emulate that same feeling, that same strength, that same depth and stretch. So obviously it's going to look a little bit differently when you're giving yourself the manual adjustments, but what's great is it's your body, it's your hands, so you can get all up in there. And for me, my love language is physical touch. So I really miss being able to like send my love through touch and receive love through touch through you guys. So if that is your love language too, maybe it could be an opportunity for you to give yourself that extra love and attention, that tender squeeze as we move into Valentine's Day. So we will practice with music, and then we're going to lie down on the back, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an anatomy roadmap just so we're like on the same page, like a key to your body. So we'll hit play together, and then you'll lie down. Go ahead and toggle over to your playlist, and the playlist is called All For You. The first song is Come On Over, and we'll hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. And if you need a moment to toggle the volume on your Spotify versus your phone, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to lie down on the back. And I love this use of the floor because it helps you track your alignment, right? The floor doesn't lie, it is straight always. So we'll just start by taking the hands at the back of the skull, and you can lift your head slightly and then lengthen the back of your neck by dragging the back of your skull upwards towards that top edge of your mat. And then the hands can continue to come down. Let your elbows push into the floor by your ribs, so you can prop your ribs off the floor and then shrug your shoulders back and down. And then with your legs long, just let your hands rest on your belly, one on the upper part of the belly, one on the lower part of the belly. And I want you to notice your breath. Now you might notice the upper belly fills in first, followed by the lower belly. And when you exhale, let the lower belly empty first, followed by the upper belly. Just play with that a little more, inhaling, exhaling. So when I would give the yogi the adjustment, I would always ground down on the breath out, so you can feel that root in the low belly, and then create the length and the extension on the breath in, so feeling that lift in the upper belly. So just keep that in mind. And then I'm gonna have you lengthen your arms down with your palms facing the earth. So palms are facing down, arms are straight, long by the edges of your mat. And I want you to notice if you can push your index finger knuckle into the floor. Just recognize the rotation that your arms can do. This is an internal rotation. Now we'll try the other way. Flip your palms facing up. Try to spiral the hands all the way open so you can feel your thumbnail touching the ground. Now keep your hands facing up. They're in external rotation. Now squeeze your elbows super duper straight. Notice if your elbows hyperextend. They'll start to hover up off the floor, like they're bending backwards. It's genetic. It's just something good to know about your body. Now squeeze your knees. If your knees are hyperextending, then your heels will pop up off the floor. Cool. Now just relax your limbs, let it go. And then witness that little arch in your lower back. We want to keep that. The lumbar spine is curved like a spring to give you safety, strength, mobility. But notice the depth of that arch. It's unique to you. Your body is different than mine. Your body is different than it was 10 years ago. So just check in with how that arch feels today. Now see if you can notice the sway of your legs as your toes flop open. What degree do you notice? Sometimes people have a leg that opens more than the other, but can you recognize that it's a rotation in your hip socket? that ball and socket joint right at the head of the femur bone. And just good to notice your natural rotation, because we always want the toes and the knees to be oriented in the same direction. Now we'll just rest here for a few breaths more, in case all of that anatomy was a little heavy. Remember, it's really your intuition that will guide you. Just like you can breathe in a way that feels good, can you manually manipulate the body in a way that feels good? Getting out of your head and into your heart. Journeying deeper into this practice of self-love. Exhale. Now breathe in as you reach your arms over your head, a full body stretch. Stay for the breath out. Simply sink into the earth. Good. Now go slow as you hug your knees into your chest. You can rock side to side or just give yourself some love. We'll warm up the body with some dynamic movement. If you've done this spine reset with me before, you'll recognize these 4 shapes. Now, this is going to be shape number 1, with the knees drawn in and the head lift off the floor. So take your nose towards your knees, round your spine, Apanasana. This is going to be an exhale, squeezing everything in. Now go slow as you take your head to the floor. Extend your legs up towards the ceiling, and then the arms are going to come up over your head. So the back of your hands are touching the ground above you, like you're standing on the sky. Flex your ankles, spread through your toes. This is a pike, position number 2. Try to keep your knees squeezed and that arch in your lower back at the same time. Now for pose number 3, let your feet come to the ground with your knees bent. Arms are going to circle down by your sides, so you can feel your heels at the edge of your fingertips. This bridge prep is pose number 3. Feel that exhale in the belly. And then for pose number 4, lift your hips up off the floor. Keep your arms down on the ground. Just use that leverage to help you lift. Breathing in, pausing to refine. Feel your big toes pushing into the floor. Imagine your heels can push the floor forward. Then lift your chin off of your chest. Good. Now we'll move with the breath. This is an inhale. Exhale, bring your hips to the ground. We're reversing this sequence. So lift your heels to the sky and the arms up over your head, breathing in. And then hug your knees into your chest. Exhale, lift your head. Inhale, re-extend your heels to the sky, arms overhead like you're riding a roller coaster. Exhale, bring your feet to your mat, arms come down by your sides, exhaling. Go slow as you hover your hips off the floor, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Exhale, slowly your hips descend. Inhale, heels to the sky, arms overhead. Exhale, bend your knees into your chest, hold onto your shins, nose to the knees, exhaling. Good, inhale, re-extend, arms overhead, heels to the sky. Exhale, feet to the floor, arms by your sides. Use the in-breath to float your hips up off the earth, bridge pose. Use your out-breath to bring your hips back down. Ride that roller coaster with the in-breath, heels high, arms overhead. Exhale, squeeze your knees, lift your nose to your knees. Inhale, re-extend to that pike shape, arms up, heels up. Exhale, feet to the floor, arms by your sides. Inhale, hover your hips off your mat. Exhale, hips to the ground. You can close your eyes, stay with it, heels up, hands up. Exhale, knees to chest, nose to knees. Sorry for the siren, but isn't it cute? My dog howls every time a siren goes by. Breathe in, heels up, hands up. Exhale, feet to the floor, arms by your sides. Inhale, lift your hips up off the mat. Nice, let's do it one more time. Hips to the ground. Inhale, heels high, arms overhead. Exhale, hug your knees in, nose to knees. Inhale, re-extend, arms overhead, heels to the ceiling. Exhale, feet to the floor, arms by your sides. Lift your hips up one more time. Awesome. Hips to the mat. Very nice. Now we can rock up or roll over. Just hold on to the back of your thighs and rise up to a seat. Just to get aligned with some body positions, some bony points in your body. Start with a little bend in your knees and see if you can find those sitting bones. So you can lean to one side, grab that bony sits bone and see if you can touch the ground with it. Keeping the knees bent the whole time is totally fine, but if you can keep your sitting bones grounded as you lengthen your legs, that'll help you notice the extension in your hips. Now the hip bones, the sits bones on the floor is the most important piece, so try to keep that. As lift your arms up, breathe in, and then exhale as you fold forward. Now maybe you touch your shins, maybe you touch your ankles, maybe you touch your feet, but give yourself a little massage. If you got your hands on your feet, you can pull on your toes. Feel free to let the head hang. You can rest it on a block. If you're squeezing your ankles or your shins, just explore what feels good and then do more of that. All the while keeping your sitting bones on your mat. We'll take 3 more breaths to finish your massage. Awesome. Now take it slow, coming all the way up. Breathe in. Now bring your left foot in to meet your inner right thigh. One of the mechanics we'll use is the action of leverage. So you're gonna find a side body stretch. So let your left knee open slightly, slide that heel all the way up towards the inner right thigh. And then the leverage of your right foot your left foot pushing into your right thigh is gonna help you ground. And then we're gonna take that right hand towards the earth inside of the right shin. You're gonna do that same thing, that leverage. You're gonna push into your shin, your arm is pressing into the thigh, maybe your elbow is pressing the thigh. And from there, you can lift the left arm up overhead. Yeah, so notice the more you push your arm bone into your thigh bone, that leverage can help you lean back with your left ribs. Typically, I'd be pushing the yogi's hip crease down, that left side, and then pulling their side body long all the way up and over. And then while we're here, just sway the head, see if we can get any cracks out. So leverage is the piece we'll use as we find our personal adjustments today. Go ahead and rise on up on your in-breath. And then we're gonna switch the legs. I'm gonna stay facing the camera just so that I can see you and you can see me with ease. But as you bring that right foot into me, inner left thigh, you can do that same leverage with the foot, but we're gonna try something different this time, the grounding piece. Take your left hand to your right thigh or your right hip, and then use that to push your leg down into the ground as you reach up and over in the opposite direction. So we're doing the same stretch, this Janu Sirsasana, Pavrita style. Your right arm is extending up and over your leg, but you're using the left hand to weigh down the right shin, the right thigh. And then just notice which one you like best. Maybe you like the other one, it's okay. You can swing that left forearm, the left elbow to the inside of your thigh. But we'll be using both of those tactics, the leverage piece and then the rooting piece. And just breathe. Check with the neck. Nice, one more deep breath. Awesome, go ahead and come all the way up and we'll position into a tabletop. So facing the top of your mat, find your way there. Cool. Now we'll just move through cat-cow a few times on your in-breath. Lift your chin, sway your chest. Exhale, rounding through your spine. Tuck your chin in. 2 more rounds. Now feeling your sitting bones broaden, just like you had your hands on your sitting bones. And then exhale, drawing the navel in first. Rounding the spine, chin to chest. 1 more time. Breathe in, flare your sitting bones and your collarbones. Exhale, press and round. Cool. Now find that neutral spine of yours, loop your shoulders back, hug your low ribs in, walk your hands forward 1 finger's distance and make your way to downward facing dog. Tucking your toes, lift your knees off the mat. And then explore. You can pedal the heels out. We'll take a few breaths. And as you settle into your dog pose, notice, remember when you were sitting on the ground and your knees were slightly bent and we sat on our hands to find those sitting bones? Imagine the floor was along your legs. You can keep that little bend in your knees to help the sitting bones lift. Yeah. Now take a breath here. Let it go. Rise onto your tippy toes and then lift your right leg for three-legged dog. Stay in this tippy toe shape of your feet like you're wearing stilettos. Now keep the right leg lifted with the toes turned in, and then slowly let your left heel drop towards the mat. Breathe into your left calf, your left hamstring. Push harder through your right hand. Awesome. Now gently step forward with that right foot. Take it between the thumbs and we'll lower the back knee down onto the ground. Hang out here in your lunge with your hands down. Option to stretch your left wrist by taking the back of your hand to the floor. So your fingernails are on the mat, pointing backwards towards your left knee. And then stay like that, or massage your neck with your right hand. Let your chin drop in. Squeeze from the base of the neck and work your way all the way up towards the base of the skull. Find that tender part, breathe into it. Meanwhile, you can let the top of that left foot rest on the ground and sink that left hip forward and towards the floor. Awesome. Okay, now flip your left palm back around, so palms facing down. You can lift your chin and we'll take that right hand onto the right thigh. Now to get this manual adjustment in your twist, you're gonna shift your hips back just a little bit. Use that right hand to help you push down onto the right thigh and then turn your heart towards the right thigh. And then the eyes start to look up. From there, the right arm can lift up. And if you wanna hover the back knee, you could do that too. Feel that exhale in the low belly. Good, take 2 more breaths. 1 more. Awesome. Now let the back knee come down if it's lifted, both hands on the floor, making your way to half splits. I invite you to use blocks if you typically use blocks here, but I want your right hand to find that right sitting bone. So we're gonna add a little bend in the right knee and think about grabbing onto the right sitting bone and pulling it back like you would do in cow pose, lifting that tail. Yeah, there's the stretch. Okay, now keep the sitting bone lifted and then think about maybe right knee straightening, maybe. Cool, and then you can take that right hand down to the block or to the ground. Stay active through your right toes, spread them wide, pressing through the ball mound. And as you look down at your right knee, notice the tone around your quadriceps starts to lift, your knee is protected. And then breathe out as you fold it. Remember the in-breath is where you create the length, the extension. And the out-breath is where you fold in, using the abdominal strength to help you pull yourself in. Nice. Now go ahead and elongate your arms, start to look forward. And then make your way towards lizard pose. Walk your hands to the inside of your right foot and heel toe your right foot wide as your mat. Loop your shoulders back. Now we're gonna keep the left hand on the floor. Let your hips hover back in space a little bit. With your right hand on your right thigh bone, manually externally rotate the right thigh. So roll the thigh bone away from you. And your toes can spiral open too. But remember, we always want the toe and the knee looking in the same orientation. Now with that right thigh bone spiraled open, then you can let your left hip sink down. And then loop your shoulders back. You can choose to stay up high on your hands. You can take it down to the elbows. Consider what's happening with that femur bone, the upper thigh bone in the hip socket. You spiraled it open, that ball and socket joint. And as you relax the muscles, you can soften into your stretch. Nice. Now, if you want to add a quad stretch today, we'll take it slow, come up onto the hands. And then you could return that right hand to the right thigh for a moment. Make sure you still got that external rotation as you turn your heart open. And then looking back, reach for your left foot. Now, first thing you're going to do is kick your foot into your hand. Let that help you open up your right chest. Lengthen your tail, and then pull the heel in towards the outer left glute. Now, you could also move your glutes back to meet your heel. And then once you feel the seal in your knee, the hips can drive forward and towards the earth. Now you're in a back bend here, so feel the shoulders gather on your back to protect, to balance, to find support. And then if it feels good to lift your chin, breathe into that arch from your left knee to your nose. Cool. Now you're gonna let your foot go and then heel toe the right foot back in so it's placed between your thumbs, heels underneath the knee. And then we're gonna take that right hand onto the right knee and the left arm upwards towards the ceiling. Now we're back in this Anjaneyasana. Now we're gonna add a twist. So let your hips shift back for a sec. Use the pressure of your right hand pushing into your right thigh to help you deeply hook that left elbow outside your right thigh. Then pause here. You're gonna take your right hand and thread it through and try to grab onto the left side of your ribs and manually adjust your ribs, pull them forward towards that right thigh. And then the hand can continue to draw across the bra line all the way until you finish that twist. And then maybe the hands meet in prayer. Yeah, nice. Find the depth, ground through the right big toe, inner thighs hug to the midline. Now remember when we grabbed onto that right sitting bone and half splits and lifted up? You can feel that sensation here, or you could do that sensation here while you lift your left knee. If you want to challenge your balance, drawing that right sitting bone back towards the opposite end of the room. Breathe, ground through the right big toe for 3, 2, 1. Awesome. We'll take the hands to the mat. Find 3-legged dog. Kick your right leg high, open up your hips. Draw a knee circle. Just find some movement. Meeting in down dog whenever you're ready. Just notice the difference in your 2 sides. Remember that action of slightly bending the knees so you can flare your sitting bones wide. Cool, find that here and then come onto your tippy toes. Keep your heels lifted, lift your left leg to the sky. Keep your left leg lifted, find that internal rotation and slowly let your right heel sink. Breathing into the right calf, the hamstring, strong press through your left hand for 3, 2, 1. Cool, step it through, lower your right knee to the ground. We're finding low lunge, hands down, head down, Anjaneyasana. Now, if you added the wrist stretch on the other side, the back of your right hand can come to the floor or your block. You're trying to touch the ground with all 5 of your right fingernails. And then perhaps the left hand gives your neck a massage. Untuck your back toes. Press down with all 5 of your right toenails too. And then let that right hip sink forward and towards your right palm. 3 more good breaths. All right, and then flip your right hand so it's facing down. We'll take that left hand onto the left thigh. We're gonna tuck the right toes under, shift the hips back slightly, and then use that pressure of your left hand pushing into your thigh to turn your heart into a twist. That might be where you get a little click, you can stay there, or tucking your back toes, let the eyes look up first, and then you can lift the left arm up and the right knee up. Breathe. Yeah, twisting. Should have right hand down, left hand up. Left foot forward. Yeah, there you go. It's all a game of twister anyways. You got it. Take another breath. Sweet. All right. Now we'll head into that half split. So if you know you want your blocks, lower your back knee, bring your blocks with you. Then you're going to manually manipulate the left sitting bone. So left fingers, find that left sitting bone. I usually use my index finger and second finger there. And I think about pulling that sitting bone back and up while I lengthen my left leg and my crown. Now the leg doesn't have to go all the way straight. Remember, just like when you're seated on the floor, you might need a little bend in your knee to help you lift through that sitting bone. And then once you got it, release the left hand down, find your half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Exhale, folding in. And you might even feel like a residual energy where your fingers were touching your sitting bones. Keep your awareness there. Keep lifting through that sitting bone. Folding in. 3 more breaths. Press forward with your left big toe ball mound. Imagine the whole inner line of your leg gets longer when you do that. Yum. All right. Go ahead and lengthen your spine, look up. Heading towards lizard pose, meaning you're going to walk your hands forward while you heel toe your left foot open. Now activate the block usage if you need that. And we'll take that left hand onto the left thigh. Now, if your hips are sinking deep into the lunge, you're going to be kind of locked into that hip crease, which is why we're going to pull the butt back, then grab onto the thigh bone, and then find the rotation. And then once you get the rotation in the thigh and the foot, then you can let the hips sink into their lunge. Yeah. And even though your knee and your toes are pointing open, pretend you wanted to push your left big toe onto the floor. It's not actually going to touch, but push forward so you kind of even out that sickle. And then maybe the elbows come down. Close the eyes. Bring the mind into the hip. Turn off some of those muscles. Cool. And then here's where you can add the quadricep stretch. So you can come up onto the hands using the block if you like. Use that same thing where you move your hips back, keep that left thigh bone open, look over your shoulder, see your foot, and then reach for your left foot with your right hand. Kicking foot back to open your left chest. And then two options. You could pull the heel in towards the outer right glute or move your glutes back to meet your heel. Yeah, and then keeping that seal in your knee, then the hips can drive forward and then towards the floor. Awesome. Lifting your heart, scoop your shoulders back. Lifting your chin, if that feels okay on your neck. Feeling that long line of energy from your grounded knee to your nose. Awesome. Let your foot go and then heel toe your left foot between your thumbs. Stack your heel beneath your knee. Stabilize. Then left hand on top of left knee. Take your time. Rise up with your right arm up by your ear. Notice if the hips are kind of dumping forward and towards the floor, and then we'll do that reverse. Move the hips back to create a little more space just for now. And then breathing in, get that left thigh hug into the midline with the help of your hand like a guardrail. And then a deep hook with that right elbow outside the left thigh. Pause when you get there. Then your left hand's going to weave into that window and reach for your outer right ribs. Yeah, and then twist, pulling the ribs deeper into the twist. Your fingers can draw a line across your abdomen, all the way up into those left ribs. And then the hands can meet in prayer. Nice. Right elbow is outside of left thigh. Feel that exhale way deep down in the belly button. Now, if you know you want to lift your back knee, you can either use your hand on your left sitting bone to help pull that sitting bone back and up while you lengthen the right leg, or just imagine the hand doing that. How's your breath? Take two more. Beautiful, everyone. I'll meet you in a three-legged dog. Hands to the floor, kick your left leg high, open your hips. Add any hip circles if you wish. Awesome. Meet you in the dog pose, both feet on the mat. And if you want to move through a vinyasa today, take a breath out here. And then inhale as you shift forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Bend your elbows about 90 degrees. Shoulders kiss on the back body. Inhale, coming into cobra. Lift your heart, lower your hips. Downward dog. Sweet. Deep breath. Okay, now rise onto your tippy toes again. Lift your right foot up into three-legged dog. This time, turn your right thigh bone open, an external rotation, and then let your left heel sink towards the floor. So your right toes are pointing towards the right side of the room. Your left heel sinks, breathe into the inner thighs. Press through the ball mounds of your feet, the big toe. Cool, and then we're gonna take it to warrior two. So you can lift that left heel, breathe in, step the right foot between the thumbs, and then spin your left heel to the ground, spiral up and open. Let your hands land on your legs. All right, warrior two. So in this shape, your right heel is intersecting the instep of your left foot. Your right toes are pointing straight ahead. Look at that right knee on top of the right ankle. Now you can look down and see your ribs are over your hips. And then with that right hip bone lifted, your right hand's gonna manually slide to the inside of your right thigh and then roll the thigh bone open. So that right thigh bone is an external rotation. The left hand is going to come to the left hamstring, the back of the thigh, and then roll the left thigh bone inwards. So the back leg is internal rotation. So both legs are rolling towards the right, yeah? Now keep your hands where they are. Let that help you stack ribs over hips, and then stack your chin over your right shoulder and gaze down your arm, past the knee, see the big toe just beyond the knee. And then keeping the chin drawn in, the ribs drawn in, let the arms float up to a T. Breathe in. Now shoulders are squeezing together, an imaginary pencil in the back. Micro bend the elbows so you can utilize your triceps. You get a little heavier on the outer edge of that left heel as you deepen the right knee. Sweet. Now as you reverse the warrior, you're going to wrap your left arm across your low belly, grab onto that right hip crease, and then see if you can push that right hip down and forward as you reach up and back. Awesome. One more. Good breath. Beautiful. Coming up through warrior two, you can release both arms wide, and then we'll find that side angle variation of your choice. Bring that right elbow to the thigh. Now using your right elbow as leverage, open up the right knee. Feel your right sitting bone root under. And that leverage is also going to help you spiral your left ribs open. Your eyes can look straight up at the sky as the left arm extends long by your ear. And here I would love to pull on your left arm as you root through your left heel. So imagine I'm doing that reach for 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Gazing towards the ground, we'll cycle through, hands to the mat. You can skip your chaturanga if you wish, otherwise step back to plank pose on the breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe out to get there. Nice full breath in. Smooth breath out. Take one more round. Now we'll lift the heels and then lift the left leg off the ground. Turn your left toes open and then drop your right heel. Breathe into the inner thighs. Push through your left hand from the heart into the hand. One more breath. Good. And then lifting the right heel as you breathe in will help you step the left foot between the thumbs. Warrior two, spin your right heel to the ground, spiral your arms up and open and let them land on your legs. So with the hands bracing, you can find that stack of ribs over hips, and then the left hand's going to gently glide that left knee open, external rotation. The right hand grabs your right thigh bone and rolls it in. Turn your chin towards your left shoulder. Gaze down with your eyes. Find that line from your shoulder to your knee to your big toe and that second toe right between. And then let the arms fly. Squeeze the shoulders on your back. Micro bend your elbows slightly. Feel your firing in the triceps. You might have received the adjustments where someone puts their hands beneath your hands and tells you to push down. Imagine that buoyancy, that resistance. Push into this imaginary space and energy. Deep in the bend in your left knee. Good, and then your right arm can cradle your low belly. Take your right hand towards your left hip, and then left arm lifts up and over. Now you're anchoring, you're rooting that left hip as you reach through the left arm. You can also use that forearm as leverage to help you spin your heart up. Awesome, and then coming through warrior two, let your arms fly wide to a T, and then reaching forward, extended side angle pose. Using the leverage effect, use your left elbow to open up the left knee and spiral the right ribs open. Imagine your left heel piercing into the floor. Let that help you scoop your left sitting bone under a little more. Awesome, and then perhaps the right arm extends long by your ear and you have an imaginary friend pulling that right arm long, reach. Two more breaths. Ground through the outer edge of your right foot. Last breath. Awesome. And then looking down, hands to the mat. You can move straight into dog pose or step it back. High plank, breathe in. Chaturanga, breathe out. Up dog, breathe in. Down dog, exhale. Nicely done, everyone. Notice if your dog feels different now. Keeping those sitting bones lifted, but maybe the heels soften farther down. Maybe the knees get a little straighter. Take one more deep breath. Awesome. Now you can hover that right foot off the earth and we'll set up for pigeon pose. Bring your right shin forward. Your right knee is near your right wrist. Your toes might be near your left wrist. Now I know this is your favorite adjustment. Everybody always wants to get adjusted in pigeon pose. But here's what you're going to do for yourself. Take your weight into your left hand in front of you or a little off to the left. So you can do that same manipulation of the right thigh bone where you hover the hips, roll the right thigh bone open, and then let your hips sink. Same thing you did in that lizard pose, yeah? And then stay active through your right foot, flexing the ankle. Your left leg is also active, stretching back through your toes. Then pausing there, take a deep breath, lift your chest. And then go slow as you start to walk your hands forward. You can stack your hands underneath your forehead. Pause there. Make sure everything's feeling all right in the knee, in the hip, in the ankle. Now, what I tend to do when I adjust you is I weigh down that right hip. So you can keep your left hand underneath your forehead, and then just drape your right arm across your lower back, like a garland, like a weight, like a sandbag. And if that feels okay, you can stay like that. Now, if you don't need either hand, you can have your forehead rest on the floor. Take your left palm to meet your your right sole. Turn around. So your left palm is going to meet your right sole of the foot. Your forehead's on the floor. You're going to push left palm into right foot. And then that same manual adjustment with that right hand opening up the right thigh. Yeah. Now pretend you're rounding your spine like cat pose, like you're curling your tailbone under. We're creating even more space in that right hip crease. So maybe you can fit your right thumb into that right hip crease and hook it back even more. Breathe for 3. 2. 1. Awesome. Go ahead and come all the way up. Let the hands land on the mat. Tuck your left toes under. Lift your right thigh. You can move into a 3-legged dog, or if you want to find a wild thing today, shift the weight into your left hand. Spiral your right toes to the ground. And then take your right palm to the back of your skull. And let that help you support your head as you lift your heart, lift your chin, and feel that line from your extended left leg to your right elbow. Awesome. And then we'll just take it over back into the dog pose. Shifting weight into your right leg. Sink into that ball and socket joint in the right hip as you lift the left. Breathe in. And then pigeon. Your left shin comes forward. Knee towards the left wrist. Toes towards the right. All right. So now that right hand will come forward, maybe a little off to the right. So you can kind of hover the hips. Take that left hand into the left thigh bone and do that external rotation. So hovering the hips is a hamstring strength. You're going to use that lift in the hips to unlock the hip crease and roll the thigh bone open and then sink. And then pausing, finding the active feet. Breathe in. And then fold forward. You can keep the hand on the thigh or take the hands forward for support. And just take a moment to assess, to land. And then if you want to add the weight, you can take that left forearm across your low back. like a heavy sandbag weighing down your hips. The head can rest on the right hand. You can turn your head one way, maybe chin to the left. And if you want to try the no hands under your head version, put your forehead on the floor. Your right hand is going to meet your left foot, pushing into the sole. Your left hand is going to do that same pushing down to the left thigh, rolling the thigh bone open, hovering the hips just for a moment as you push hand into foot, roll the thigh bone open, get a little longer through your spine. Maybe the forehead creeps forward on the floor. Breathe. Notice that exhale way deep down in your belly button and let that help you slightly round the pelvis. Yeah, that'll just accentuate the stretch. So maybe that left thumb slides into that left hip crease and helps hook it back a little deeper. Now, obviously your arms are working, but what can you let go of? Take 3 more breaths. One day, we'll be back in a studio and you'll get these hands-on adjustments. But until then, you can give yourself all the benefits, all the love you need. Nice. And we'll take it slow, come back onto your palms. Tuck your right toes under. Lift your left thigh. Stay like that. Or flip into wild thing. We'll meet in dog when you're ready. If you're coming into wild thing, you'll spin your left toes to the ground. Take your left hand to the back of your head. And just like when you're lying on your back and you lifted through the back of your neck, lift through the elbow, strong through the right leg. Awesome. And then we'll take it back around. Meeting in the dog pose. Exhale. Awesome. Go ahead and take it down to the knees or jump it through. We'll make our way towards the seat. And just let your legs dangle out in front of you. You can sway the toes. And then find those sitting bones again. Draw the sitting bones back. That micro bend in the knees can help with that. And then we'll set up for a twist. So you're going to bend your right knee, bring that right heel in. And then as you place that right foot outside your left thigh, manually push down on that right big toe. So you're going to push that foot, the right foot, into the floor. And then right thumb meets the right hip crease. Pull that right hip crease back and down. Now you can place your right hand behind your back, sit up tall, and then choose if you want to hug your right thigh into your chest. You sit a little taller. And then like your arm is moving your thigh bone across your torso. That's what's helping you twist. But really the ribs are moving. The chin is moving. The eyes can close. Visualize the breath in the upper back and the exhale in the belly. The more you contract in the belly, the more you can twist. Cool. Start to unwind on your breath in. We'll take a brief counter twist the other way. Just take your hands to the other side of the mat, twist. Awesome. And then we'll switch, straighten your right leg. Find those equal sitting bones. And then for the twist, bend the left knee. Take your left foot outside your right thigh. Place your right hand down on your left foot. Really root it down. And then that left thumb is a hook in that left hip crease. Pull it back. Now you can also do the sitting bones action where you're pulling that left sitting bone back. But once you feel the root of the seat, the foot, then the left hand can come behind you and you can wrap the right arm across the thigh. And then maybe you have the ability to grab onto that left thigh with your palm and then use that to help you twist. That left sitting bone that you palpated, push it through the floor as you reach up with your crown. Twisting a little more. Strong through the right leg. Exhaling deep into the belly. Create space for more twist. Spin your chin back over your shoulder, even your eyes, try to look to the left. Twist with everything you got. Awesome, start to unwrap your ribs, inhale. And then counter twist to the right, exhale. Whew. Coming back to center, meet me in Baddha Konasana, often thought of as butterfly pose. You'll take the soles of your feet together and just give your feet another foot massage in case you couldn't reach them earlier. Run your thumbs across the arches of your feet, pressing into the ball mounds. Running your thumbs all the way up the middle arch, pulling on your toes. And then squeezing through the tops of the feet, your ankles, your shins, calves. Nice. Take as much time as you want, but then we will do a little fold in so you can grab onto your feet when you're ready. Pull your heels in towards your pubic bone, sit up tall. And then exhale as you bow forward. Your elbows can help push your shins towards the earth. Let your head hang like you wanted to get your hairline to the ground. Breathe. Awesome. Go slow when you're ready to rise. All right, take your hands to the outside of your thighs. You can hug your knees in. And then we're going to scooch forward just so you can lie down on your mat. Lie down on your back. Hold on to your thighs and then gently roll down on your spine. We'll just hug the knees in when you land. We'll make our way towards a bridge shape. So if you know you want to use a block for supported bridge, you could do that. But if you don't have a block, I'm going to show you how to do it without the block. First, feet on the floor, arms by your sides. Let your arms extend long, just like we did in that dynamic movement in the beginning. Empty the breath. Elevate the hips. Now here's where you can interlace your hands, or you can fold your elbows and cradle your hips with your palms. Now coming onto your tippy toes, lifting your heels can help you get the extra height you need to position your hands. And then maybe the heels come back down. Now imagine you wanted to move your hips towards your feet, towards the foot of your mat. And then lift the chin. Tractioning the spine. Feel your triceps pushing into the earth. Note that there is some wrist flexibility and shoulder flexibility for this one. So if you're straining, don't worry, you can come down or use your prop. Otherwise, traction that spine, pull the hips back, one more breath. Awesome. And then you can lift your heels to help you get your hands out and then lower down. Awesome. Stretch your legs out. Or if your back is feeling tender, you can keep your feet on the floor. Just find your final rest. Arms long. Closed eyes. Deep breath. Fully relaxed in the body. After all that tender love, it might even feel like there's phantom hands all over you. You're welcome to stay here. Continue to sink into your mat, fully relaxed. And if you wish to meet me in a namaste, you can just take your hands to your forehead in a prayer. Your third eye, your point of intuition, the part that guided you through this practice, let it be alive. Take a breath in to honor the space. The light in me honors the divine light within you. Namaste.